remember one of the worst ones I had was self-inflicted. It was after Beer Fest,
Oh,
and
Good start.
oh my god, the next day it was like that was my pass for the day slash night, so it was my turn to watch the kids the next day. It was like they wouldn't stop spinning, and then the room spun the other way, and then I was just reaching at them and be like, just stop.
everybody just stop moving.
Daddy needs to rest.
That was the last day Daddy ever drank.
Yeah.
If
Why
there's
did
one
I do
argument for sobriety, but then again, it's probably the same argument to drink, so.
it?
Adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. It is time for New Dad Gaming, a show about gaming, fatherhood, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives, as Gavin takes a very well-deserved drink from his beer. So well timed.
Yep.
My name is Trevor, and I have a 1-year-old.
My name is Gavin, and I have a 10-month-old.
My name is Jeff. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a tall boy. Chink.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a cliffhanger. You had me. I was like, oh,
Nope.
and a
Nope.
newborn, and
I already said last episode, yeah, no, not gonna be, not announced.
He's just COVID lately. Like, is this
No.
somebody call him on? You have to do a little dance.
So by our own rules, I'm not exactly sure. Like, as a month's change, do I say 1 year, 1 month, or like for the next year, do I just say I have a 1-year-old? Because we discussed how terrible it is to count months. So like a 13-month-old, a 14-month-old, as opposed to a year. But what am I supposed to do now every
You're on the
month?
point fives. You're on the point fives.
There you
Year,
go.
year and a half.
Just do it quarterly.
Quarterly, 1 and a
Like
quarter.
a financial report. Just
Yeah.
projections.
This quarter's been all downhill. I
I have
mean,
one in Q3.
yeah, I'm very adamant about not counting months at this
Yeah.
point. He's one.
Yeah, we're in Q2 of our second fiscal, and so far so good.
Second parental.
Second parental. There you go. Done.
Oh,
That's
yeah. I'll post something to you guys right off the top, and I think like Jeff would be. Well, actually, you're kind of the exception. But I went on a lark. I went into a GameStop. I was in a mall just picking up some other stuff, and there was a GameStop sitting there, like a big chain retailer. And like that, and that place is weird now. Like there's so many toys as opposed to actual games, and
Yeah, they really went for the collectibles.
Amiibos. Yeah.
and then additionally like all the new collectible style games, like the Skylander stuff. There's of course the old Guitar Hero stuff sitting in a sad pile in a corner. But more, that's interesting enough. HMV, in fact, is also just a very weird place to go into because in our youth it was CDs, and now it's nothing but like band paraphernalia and like collectibles, like you said.
Mm.
But specifically to GameStop, like what was interesting was hearing the employee try to explain gaming and game DLC to an unsuspecting parent. Where it's like, no. So this disc is just the multiplayer. The campaign, like the one-player campaign, is DLC. You're gonna have to buy that separately in the store. He's like, what do you mean? It's a game on a disc. Like, no, ma'am. You're gonna have to put it in, and then you have to download the update. That's gonna be about 2 gigs. What's a gig? Never mind that. And then you have to buy the second thing separately. Well, what if I want to play this character? No, ma'am. That's a DLC character. What's DLC? Downloadable content. You have to buy that. It's just like it just blew. Like you're so terribly unprepared for it, and we're just in this weird state right now where parents were far enough. With us, it was easy, right? Mom, I want on the box. It says this. It says like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And here's a
For
photo.
Christmas, I want that box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she bought that box, and then I put into this thing, and it was fine. And now, like, it's changed so rapidly that the current generation of parents, I think, are just terribly overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, it felt
There's
awful for this
times when,
woman.
like, I'm even overwhelmed with how, like, kind of compartmentalized and convoluted game purchasing is now. Where, like, people take the experience and they'll just slice it up into a pie. And it's like, sure, you get the big chunk of pie, but the full experience. And it's just this whole idea of, like, how can we get a little bit more of the consumer. But the worst part is too is that the base price now is like $80 Canadian. That's like $20 American. But, but yeah,
Plus
it's
the
like
DLC, right?
yeah, the cost of entry is really, really high, and then you're still not getting the full experience because it's been divvied up. But I think we should archive this episode so that way in 20 years, when Trevor's shopping and they're talking to him about memory gel tubes, and he's all confused about, oh wait, do I need the memory gel tube? It's like, well, yes, we have to hold it up to the sun during the solstice for it to download.
Yeah.
When
was
he
like,
has that conversation,
Yeah. Or you can't even buy it because it's like a virtual reality retina scan. Like, no, sir, no, sorry.
you
your eyes are
Scans
not.
to your account.
You don't have the right
we need
pupil
your son to
dexterity
do the
for this
DNA
version.
imprinting.
Yeah, can't do it.
Well, that was like, that's exactly it though. It's just like what I was wondering as I'm listening to this and I was listening to it too. Like it's like we're in it, so we get it. But hearing it like anew is just like, wow, this stuff is really crazy.
That business model, because they assume everybody doing the purchasing is an enthusiast, and that's often not the case. And even within our generation, there's a substantial percentage of the generation who are not enthusiasts. So when you make it so unapproachable, it's hard for it to become a commodity that can be used as a gift. And it's going to be one of those things where eventually it's just going to be a gift card kind of gift. It's the same as shopping for cosmetics. If you tend not to use a lot of cosmetics, sometimes it can be so intimidating that you're just like, oh. It's like when you watch, like on Valentine's Day when you're at the mall and you're watching all these really nervous men walk into lingerie stores. For like the one time a year they walk into a lingerie store. Because you don't know. It's like, so do I buy the top and bottom thing separate? How does it, what number is it metric? How do I measure the thing? And just this like...
How many feet? How many... What is it?
This comes with less and it costs more. I don't get it.
Yeah, like, okay, well...
How many ounces? I don't understand.
How many cups in a pint then? Oh, not that kind of cup? Oh,
Cups in a
well
pint.
then, okay. So, like, it's that sense, but it's like we're getting that now with an entertainment medium. In reality, lingerie is a bit of an entertainment medium. But that idea that, like, a parent trying to buy something for their kid, and it's not just a paywall, it's a learning curve. It's like a comprehension wall that's preventing them from being able to get this cool thing for their kid. And it's sometimes too they might end up over purchasing just to be safe. And it's like, well, I don't know which Skylander they want, so buy them all. Could be tough.
Bonus to the kid. I wonder, like, so Jeff, you're the only one, but with us, we're kind of up on it now. And this as our hobby, I'd like to think that we'll maintain it. I'm just kind of curious if we would. I guess I'm trying to like think to there's an audio file, like a guy who was just super into audio equipment in the 60s, like ever lose his touch, so that like now if you went into a store, you wouldn't be able to know the base level like equipment or the components and the parts. And I wonder, like, are we ever going to lose our edge? And when our future kids like are looking for certain parts, we're like just throw our hands up in the air, like I don't get it. Like I don't. Are we going to will we always be knowledgeable enough? Or are we going to lose it?
I think we have to make some compromises, right? Even just being a parent and not having enough time to keep. Like I won't. I don't think I can see myself falling behind on the hardware side of stuff, and even how the games kind of fit with the whatever hardware. But I can see myself falling behind in certain games, like with Minecraft. I get it. I know what it is. But the things people do with it, and set up different servers and run different mods with it, I have no idea what they're doing. And I used to be in that scene, but not anymore.
Well, that's the thing too. Is eventually as well, I care less about apps. Honestly, like I barely use them. I find I get along in my life fine without them. And sure, like I know enough about them to understand how they should be utilized safely. Um, so I understand how to kind of guide my child into using them. Um, but also like I won't be up on the latest trends because it's less to do with me falling behind as me just not getting on the train in the first place. Just like I don't care. I really don't care. I have other entertainment and technology things that I like and that I enjoy. I don't need to be up on all of them. It's fine. It's the same as like the audiophile not really caring about how video projectors work. You know, yeah, it's AV equipment, but he doesn't really care about the V, so he just leaves it alone. And yeah, I think eventually I'm going to drop off. Like, I think it's natural for most people to eventually just be like, yep, this is my plateau, I'm happy here. I'm going to ride it out to the end, you know? Like, there's a lot of happy people with silver hair just sitting on a mountain of vinyl, just enjoying the golden years. And all the best to them, you know? I don't need to try to convince them to convert to MP3. They're happy. I'll leave them be.
Yes.
Again, like Trevor said, time capsule. We'll play this back in like 20 years, see where we're at.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got caught a bit because I was looking at, I was half considering getting a DS, Nintendo DS, just because
Mhm.
go on an old like Nintendo kick. Um, Realizing I hadn't played that type of stuff for a while, but then there's a 3DS, so the 3D version and the normal DS, and
Yeah,
I had to pause. I'm like, wait,
yeah.
can these play each other? Like, I don't even
There's
know.
the new 3DS, right? There's the
Yeah.
3DS, and then the new 3DS.
I was
So
worried
they
that I'd
didn't.
buy a game for one that wouldn't actually work with the other one. I was just like, oh
Yes.
no, it's happening. Yes, it
They're
does.
figuring out where the backward compatibility and like the chronological order of all these different iterations, and it's like which library like is like if you get a game, is it still within the confines of this one library, or did you overshoot or undershoot?
Yeah. I had to do the same thing when I was buying my son the 3DS, right? So the new 3DS was coming out with the dual thumbsticks, and the old 3DS only has the one thumbstick and then the directional. So that's where they improved it. But then I looked at the 2DS. I'm like, well, maybe I just go that way. It doesn't fold. It's just a big hunk of plastic. It's basically like a tablet
Yeah,
behind it, and then it's separated by plastic into two screens. I'm like, maybe I should just do that. It's like $80, whatever. But then I'm like, well, certain games don't work on that one that have the 3D capability of the other one, and he can't do the 3D yet, but I kind of want to do the 3D, so I don't know. You have to do your research, but I think that's where our
yeah,
generation is we're kind of good at, right? I think we would go and research it and come to a conclusion, whereas the previous generation would be like they would go to the games, the
yeah.
GameSpot, or
I think that's the difference is the ones who it's like I'm gonna Google this a bit at home before I head out, and like when I do, if I do decide to just go to a brick and mortar to buy the thing,
yeah,
I'm gonna have its serial number. I'm gonna know their inventory stock levels. I'm gonna have it
yeah,
out, and everything, and just be like, I want this thing. You have 5 in the back stock room on the 5th shelf. How do you
yeah.
know that? Never mind how I know it. By the way, the security on your CCTV needs upgrading. So just give me what I want when I go home.
Yeah, not even like going home and Googling or doing it before you leave. I mean,
Yeah,
the advent of these smiarphones being able to just on the spot, like tap, 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 tap. Oh, okay. That's the wrong
yeah.
one.
I think like the conversation you witnessed at that store might have been better to have been had with Siri as opposed to the poor, you know, shop clerk. Um, but at the end of the day, too, like that is their job. Like they're there to kind of like I understand the frustration of talking to somebody who's not savvy, but that's their primary job is to take the hand of someone who needs help. You know, they're not there for somebody like me, with the exception of making sure that new stuff's on the shelf. They're there for the people who don't know what they're doing. So, you know, I think that's a good test for somebody who is in that sort of a job because, like, you know, otherwise they're not really earning anything. Like, they're basically just vending machine security guard. You know, it's,
The
I,
Skylander security guard.
this guy
Hey,
just
don't touch those.
don't touch the kid, leave it in the box.
Worth so much.
Ends off the merch.
Yeah.
Speaking of legacies of old, there's the E3 is coming up, which
Yes.
bizarrely non-relevant in the in the game world in some ways. Where, you know, yeah, I mean, I suppose started off that way. Like, what does E3 mean to you guys now? And do you think it's going to mean anything to your kid?
I think it's still exciting to see the announcements, but I think it's a lot of those games are a few years off, right? So like last year was crazy with the Final Fantasy VII remake, but I know that's like when my son goes to college, I'll finally get to play it. Um, so I think it's more of a like wait and see and then wait again. So I still like the announcements. It's kind of cool to see what people do, but there's so much like the time period, like No Man's Sky, for instance, that was announced. It's supposed to be out at a certain time. It's delayed almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
Might go to VR. Might go another step. Um, I just think it's a lot of like there's even graphical downgrading and some of the so what you see in E3 is not necessarily the product you're going to get. So you get excited, kind of like for nothing. So, and then it's just being a dad. Like we all have a lot of games in our backlog. Are we gonna play all these games or just wait for them to go on sale?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm more excited to get my hands on Doom, and I've actually started to get the Overwatch itch. So I have a feeling that the likelihood I might dive into that, break my no multiplayer streak. Um,
You might
but
actually buy
there's a lot of
Overwatch.
stuff out right now that I'm really excited to get my hands on. So maybe it's a situation where, yeah, the dad backlog is removing that anticipation because my appetite is still being satisfied with what's on my shelf and what's on the shelf somewhere else that I'd like to pick up. That, like, I'm curious about it, and I'm like, ooh, this is cool. But that sense of, like, that Christmas morning excitement when they do the big press conferences, it's not really hitting me as much as it did, like, a few years back when, like, I'd have my buddy over and we would sit and watch it on my TV and actually just, like, you know, make some popcorn and really get into it. Um, yeah, I think, I don't know, it's,
Like even look at Nintendo, right? They used to be like some of the magic at E3, and now they have Zelda. Like that's all they're showing at this E3 is Zelda and a couple other games. It's like, well, like even for my son, I'm like, maybe there's another game, or even if it's another Mario Kart or something that's being announced. It's like, no, they're still working on Zelda, and it might not even be Wii U now. It might be their next console because they missed an entire generation
yeah.
to get a Zelda out. So even they're taking longer in terms of getting their games out the door.
Hmm.
Fine tuning it, I'm sure it'll be great, but like I'm not gonna show my kid even an announcement and then be like, okay, save up your money in 4 years.
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah.
know. There's anything they're going to. If anything, it was like a. It feels like it was a conference that benefited from a lack of information or distribution, where
Yeah.
besides magazines and some other maybe TV, but how would you do it? Like this was the event to get your news out there. Now
Yeah.
it's so easy to get any type of message out: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube videos, like website, just blow it up yourself. I mean, there's
Yeah.
20. How many game websites are there now with instant news? So
Well, even on top of that, when you look at the like the expo and convention scene and how that's blown up in the last 5 years. Like you look 5 years ago, and as far as like big launch announcements, E3 was the only platform to do it. But now you have a lot of developers who are holding off and doing their announcements at PAX, or doing their announcements at GDC, or at Fan Expo or Comic Con. When you have games being announced at Comic Con instead of E3, um, it's spreading out that announcement. It's peppering it out throughout the year, as opposed to having all those announcements from those publishers all at once. So I think that this is a sense, like, yeah, as you said, you get year-round 24-hour coverage on multiple different blogs, and then on top of that, E3 is not the only game in town for big convention announcements.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we're seeing a lot of, like, GDC is where a lot of the indie stuff is announced, and especially PAX, You have, like, IndieCade announcements. There's a lot of different venues out there now that will allow a nice big stage and a nice big opportunity. And I think also, too, a lot of games that were in development were getting kind of drowned out at E3 by the big studios. So they start going to things like PAX to do their announcement because they know they'll get more spotlight. and then because they don't have the large studio backing them, that these media studios are like, well, we're going to announce this thing because we're going to get more attention, or we'll at least get a little bit more buzz and more media buzz. So I think that's also sort of spread things out and made people
Yeah.
not, they're kind of condensing, or they're spreading their attention across the year as opposed to everybody focusing on this one week of all the announcements at once, just like Easter, Christmas, just get it all in there.
Well, even look at this platform, right? Like the next Call of Duty and Battlefield were announced on YouTube as a video.
Yeah.
All right, and that was all they needed. What are you going to do at E3? Like, you're going to show a little bit more footage. You might have it playable if that's the pull, but then everybody else has their own conferences during the year, and then even award shows show.
Yeah, like Sony has a press conference.
Exactly.
We have all these the publishers themselves, the larger companies themselves have their own conferences.
Right.
Where before they would rely on E3, or now it's like we got our own thing. This is our moment. It's just all about us. We don't just have a single like announcement show. Like we have an entire 3-day weekend event to just talk about stuff coming out on our system.
Yeah, I guess. So, what do you guys think though with more events? So it's not so much the one massive event that rules them all, but with PAX and other ones, would you think that our kids would be able to attend a gaming event then, like a big show? Although not the show, but maybe a PAX Junior, PAX East. Like, you think it'll still exist as a venue, or that'll go away?
Well, I think they'll definitely exist. I think like these things are doing so well. Like, they make a lot of money at these events just from like admission and merch and stuff like that. It's not just a marketing tool. Like there is actually, they are a fairly successful event with the amount of advertising and marketing money that the event itself generates from bringing on all these exhibitors. Like Fan Expo hasn't been this big ever, even like for Comic-Con. I think this sense of everybody go and check out stuff, and there's also that sense of being able to see it alongside other people, that spectacle has made these events huge. Getting into these events is like trying to get into a rock festival, but instead of like sitting and watching a bunch of like rock bands perform, you're going and seeing a bunch of games get debuted and watching people play them live or have tournaments like that. So I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. I think they're here to stay for sure. It really just comes down to, is it something that's, where is the threshold as far as like how involved are you in this particular interest?
Yeah, I could see that. Or even if the industry wants it anymore, right? Like if EA were to say, "Hey, we're not going to do this anymore. We're just going to announce our own stuff on our own YouTube channel."
Look at Nintendo. They don't even do E3 live conferences anymore. They do like that.
The Nintendo Direct or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Their own, from their president. Like it's more a personal thing from them too. So I don't know. Maybe it exists, but just in an evolutionary state. Like it's.
Mm-hmm. You're still gonna have big convention halls full of people just elbowing each other to see something new. Like it's human nature. We love seeing big. It's a less bloody coliseum. Like people just want to go and be entertained.
I mean, if I could go, I would love to go. Like, but it's what, San Francisco or wherever it is. Like,
like
I would love to go to one, but
they are. Like even like Fan Expo in Toronto is fun to attend. Like it's just entertaining. But yeah, they are a lot to take in too. So it's one of those things where it's like you go and like I bet the response is one of two things. It's either like, "Oh, that was awesome, we do that again." It's like, "Oh, that was cool, did that."
Just overstimulated when you walk in. I could just see myself just light up and like, I don't know where to go now.
Yeah. Bright lights.
So is there anything you guys would like to see announced then? Like, it'd be a little bit tough, I know, with the top of your head. Could you think of anything that you'd be really excited to have announced at this event?
I don't think it's going to happen, but I would say Last of Us 2. I just
Mm.
because they just finished Uncharted 4, Last of Us 2 would get me going.
So because there's a personal void for you, it's just
I need my Last of Us. I need it. And maybe if Nintendo would do something, maybe show off their mobile games because they said they would get into mobile games. I'm wondering if they would release a Mario or even a Metroid at that point. But I
yeah.
I don't know. Those are
I think
rare.
I think I'd buy that, like a mobile version, an iOS version of a Mario game.
Oh, for sure. I would be
Yeah.
done. But I don't think they'll ever release it. I don't like it would just kill their DS or their 3DS or their new 3DS or their whatever next DS.
6DS, sure.
But
Gavin,
those are
anything?
the two announcements I would like to. I don't. Rare, but we'll see.
The other day I was chatting with somebody about Mech Warrior for some
Oh,
reason,
that would
and
be cool.
Is that the one with the huge, massive like control center?
yeah, even if they could streamline it to a controller, I'd be happy. But I really want big, clunky mech combat. You know, I didn't get a chance to check with Titanfall. I don't have an Xbox One yet. That looked like it would be somewhat satisfying, but there was something about the old Mech Warrior where these things were so massive, like skyscraper size, that they weren't just a vehicle and part of a multiplayer map, like they were the thing. If you weren't in the thing, you're dead. Um, and yeah, just really good mech combat, I think would be a lot of fun. I think something like that would be pretty wicked. Um, I haven't played one of those in a very long time, so that's kind of why I have a bit of an itch for it. Um, and there was a game I just saw announced today. The name of it is totally slipping me. Actually, I'm going to quickly see if I can find it while I talk about it. But it was the same studio who did uh, Saints Row. Um, and I think I found the name of it. You can tell I'm prepared for these things, actually.
Need scrolling music.
Yeah, damn it.
Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
You need the Jeopardy music.
Here it is, here it is, here it is. Oh my goodness. It was something Mayhem. Here it is. Agents of Mayhem. That's it.
Oh
Agents of
yeah,
Mayhem.
Yeah.
that
But
one
the
looked
Agents
good.
of Mayhem.
That's from
Yeah.
the developers of Saints Row.
Yep. And Volition Software, they did Saints Row, they did Red Faction, which Red Faction is one of my favorite games.
Yep.
I really enjoyed the Saints Row series. I played them, I like them. They are ridiculous. They are very crude at times, very crass. But
No, I don't know what you're talking about. No. Explain a situation.
actually, one of my favorite moments was in I think Saints Row 2, and you're you're driving your car, and you're just listening to the radio, and then Final Countdown comes on the radio, and your character starts singing along to the radio, and that was one of those moments where it's like, okay,
Seals it.
that made me laugh really hard.
Did you ever
So
play 3? Because it had the same
yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah. I played through 3, and I also played oh,
There's
the
4, and then
one
there's
with the
Gat Out of Hell
president.
as well.
Yeah, I played the fourth one as well. Like I've played through most. Actually, the only one I haven't played is that Gat Out of Hell one. Um, but I kind of hit Saints Row when I needed a break. Um, but yeah, they are kind of a bit of a guilty pleasure thing. There's some choices that they make narratively, and that might not be the most politically correct, but uh, sometimes I just giggle anyways. I know it's wrong. I'm sorry. I try to be a progressive person, but sometimes a dark joke is just perfectly timed. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited. I saw this the debut trailer that they just released, and there's some really interesting stuff going on with it artistically, just character designs and stuff like that. There's a bit of that sort of Saints Row flair when it comes to the characters and their attitudes. Um, and yeah, there was something going on too in the animation of the trailer. I don't know whether it's obviously not like gameplay graphics, but some of this sort of really nice smoke animation, and I'm hoping that it's hinting towards maybe the type of particle effect that they're using for smoke and fire explosions and stuff. It really had this nice, rich anime feel. But it was pretty well just isolated to those effects, but it really felt nice. So I'm hoping it's an indication of what's in the game visually, not just from like graphics nerd standpoint. But yeah, I want to hear more about that one because I know it exists. And if there's a Mech Warrior thing that gets slipped in and surprises me, even better.
I could go for a. I was thinking I could go for a good skateboarding game because there hasn't been really decent
Like
one like
Skate?
that.
Like Skate itself, not Tony Hawk.
No, because yeah, Skate and Skate 2. I think 3. I don't know if I ever played 3. I heard it kind of wasn't quite as good, but just yeah, like especially the Skate franchise was just fantastic. Or even like even going way back, there was competing with Tony Hawk back in the day was Thrasher. This is back for PS1.
Do not remember that.
It was, man, it's a charm. If you ever get a chance to find it on an emulator or something, because it's got, it's very realistic physics. Realistic physics. Jeez. Relatively realistic physics, where you really can't just like flop about and connect 1,000 things. But it's very gratifying gameplay. Like I played the heck out of that game back in the day, and that's why I like Skate so much, because it reminded me of it. Skate having some silly elements, but ultimately having a bit more basis in reality. Yes, I don't know, like a real solid, good feeling Skate game. I think I could get behind. I tend to like that sort of open world run around type of feel. I think that would bode well. I think for current dad time too, because now you could just boot up, skate around for like 20-30 minutes, whatever you end up getting, and then baby cries and you just pop off, away you go. That seems like a great in between baby crisis filler game.
Imagine that game. They're gonna make that VR, and it's just gonna be a puke machine. Just the amount of dizzying effects in it.
Yeah, good luck with that 1080.
Because they are really having fun with the VR, like the gamescape of that. I think I saw one game. It was just called like Arachnophobia or something, and it was a virtual room, and spiders would come out. It's gonna give people heart attacks.
Yeah.
Like, but it's gonna be fun, and I'm
I hope
so ready for it.
skateboarding game, because you get the YouTube fail videos that are going to come out of that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Dad related. There's always a wealth of garbage that comes out with this stuff, but this game was. It's like I think they call it like Baby Firefighter Simulator or something like that effect. But basically, you got in VR and you got two, call them like nets even, and somebody's throwing babies off of a burning building.
So good.
And your job is to grab them, like throw them into the nearby truck. So babies are just being thrown
with
at
different weights and different floors. They fall faster and slower.
Oh,
it's such a good. I don't know. That looks fun. Stupid.
For the first time, yeah. I think it's the type of thing like it's part of the party pack for when somebody asks you why did you spend so much money on this VR set.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like check this out. Throw it. Oh, perfect dad stuff. We'll see that. I would love to see if PlayStation has PlayStation announced what the cost of their pack. Like I don't think they've announced the bundle yet, have they?
The feasibility.
What's that?
It depends if they upgrade the feasibility. Physicability. That was the word you used.
Physical.
I tried to make
realistic physilistics, I think.
Physalistic.
Yeah.
Not the upgrade one. Just like what I'm looking for is like the PlayStation the pack where they sell the PlayStation with the new PlayStation VR. So basically like the all-in-one bundle. Like I'd love them to announce that, especially with No Man's Sky, so I can finally leave this planet. And,
I'm not sick in space.
Dude, like basically Trevor's just turned into the guy from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He was like leaving his family.
Bye guys.
Family.
It's been real, guys. Take it easy. There's gotta be that like sucking sound as I sign off from real world. Boom.
I think VR and toddlers scare me.
Well, I know they would scare me if the toddler touched me while I'm in VR. You know what I mean? Like
As a
that would
spider.
scare but yes,
Yeah.
I understand. Like
Yeah, like if you're playing the arachnophobia game and like your kid comes and tickles your leg,
yeah,
like
that kid's going across the room.
like that cognitive dissonance, like would that not like I don't know. I think
You remember when the Wii came out and everyone kept throwing their controllers at the TV screen because they didn't put the like armbands on, or maybe that
yeah,
came later. I don't know. But there's
no,
so many
they
broken
had to
TVs.
re-release like the strap or something. They
Strap,
were like
right?
because the straps, the string on the strap originally wasn't strong enough for the type of G's that people were pulling. So they had to
So,
re-release the straps of
so
100 tensile strength to withstand people's craziness. Because
imagine
like,
imagine VR now. They just give you a bubble to play in. Like they're just like you're gonna break too much stuff.
yeah, it's like you need to be in one of those hamster things, like those
Yeah,
inflatable hamster balls.
roll around.
What was
Or
that
just
other
like
thing?
just build it into the software because the Vive, which takes that, you set up pillars to give you that kind of like 3D space, like
Yeah,
spatial awareness of your body. As soon as like a little tiny body like enters the space, it's like wee wee, like it just pulls
yeah.
you out of the game. Like
Just
baby
rips
alert,
you out
like
of the matrix.
stop seesaw gaming.
I don't know. There's something about like it's like a sensory deprivation tank. Like I don't think it's a right fit for my life right now. Like I need my senses and reflexes to be available. Like I would only feel comfortable doing VR if I knew like the baby was with like grandma and grandpa for the weekend and was like another like city away. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So if I get scared playing like some creepy The Ring horror
Yeah.
game in VR, I'm not gonna flail and accidentally give my daughter a black eye. Like there's safe distance, another postal code away. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. I might scare the dog or break a lamp, but nothing bad's gonna happen to those I love. I don't know,
Think of
just
it.
having
Think of it
worried
like
about it.
this, where you're not up at six, like 2 in the morning, desperately trying to get him to go back to bed. You're actually walking with a bag of baguettes through Paris,
Ooh,
back and
Yeah, there
forth.
you go.
a
Or
screaming bag of baguettes.
A screaming bag of baguettes. A screaming wet bag of baguettes through the streets of Paris.
You're a lonely farmer on the Irish countryside with a sack of screaming potatoes.
perfect. It better come with like Dad Sleep Simulator 2.0
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
I can
Just
just get this sack of potatoes to go to sleep. My farmer.
virtually, yeah, virtually go to bed. I'm so well rested.
Yeah.
So speaking of potatoes and other things that can be converted into alcohol, you fine dads have some beer recommendations for this week.
I am drinking Samuel Adams, better known as Sam Adams. Uh, for those not know, it's a Boston lager. I'm sorry, Boston lager, and it's good stuff. It's really good beer. I like it. I like it a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
that's
especially
about it.
if you can get that on tap. I always find Sam
Yeah,
Adams on tap is really good.
yeah.
And they also do really nice seasonal uh, selections. Like if you can, like their standard Boston lager is really good, but sometimes they'll have like a nice like a summer ale or something. And it's like if you can find them, like they're very seasonal appropriate. I think the summer ale had like citrus notes and stuff. It was really good. The fall one was like you had that with like some roasted root veg and slab of pork, and it was a really good meal. So yeah, if you catch any of the seasonal selections there, definitely check them out. I know if I ever do get a chance to visit Boston, their brewery is definitely uh,
Yeah.
on the stop. And I think they were also featured in a documentary called Beer Wars. It was on Netflix for a while. It might still be there. I don't know. But they were talking about like microbreweries and trying to maintain like um, brewery integrity and stuff like that. Um, and it was a really interesting documentary. I saw it years ago. I think it was them, Blue Moon, I think was another
Oh
beer
yeah,
that
yeah.
was in there as well. Dogfish Head, that was the other one. My wife just reminded me because she
I
was
was gonna say,
selling
was that like
that stuff.
was that outside help?
That was yeah. I phoned a friend on that one.
Teleprompter.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm drinking Sam Adams tonight because it's Sam Adams. It's delicious.
It. Yes. Mine's not as delicious, but local. 416 local brewery by Amsterdam Brewery. Kind of cool. It's got a again, it's not a light one, but
Hmm.
I was drawn to the art because it's downtown Toronto, and it's got all these little icons and all the streets over it, and it's I don't know, try a little microbrewery, see what happens. It's not
I've had
bad.
that
It's
one on
not,
tap. It's not bad.
yeah,
It's good. It's a good kind of just nice, clean, summery beer. I find in the summer I like the cleaner ones.
yeah, I agree. And it was hot this weekend, so
Yeah, I picked up a. I also had a 6 pack of Sol,
oh
like
yeah,
a Mexican beer,
yeah.
cerveza, and it was good. I don't think it's gonna replace Dos Equis for me, but it was tasty. It was good, nice and clean and wet,
Hmm.
refreshing.
Yeah, so I have. It's funny. It's just like teasing because I can't actually drink it. I'm like still super sick and have been for the last couple days. But I have a. This is
Benadryl.
the dad drunk. I wish. Oh, it's been awful. But Mill Street West Coast style IPA, and this one just released from them recently. So it tends to be a bit hoppier than I usually like to drink. Yet they, like most Mill Street stuff, they end up pulling it off really well. So really clean, really crisp, really refreshing type of beer, and very summery too. Like they've been working on this one for years. The story of it's fascinating. Like hearing it from the. I went to a Mill Street brew pub recently where the brewmaster talked through a couple of the recent beers, and I think this started off as a joke beer like built for golfers, and then just like slowly through a refining process, like eventually ended up here, and lo and behold, I'm seeing at the bottom. There's actually a specific word just saying like called strong beer,
There you go.
That's what it's
6.6%.
Mm.
But that ends up being like really nice. Like I like how they did the hops. Like it's part of the overall story, and kind of ends up being a nice summery beer as well. So they were super excited, but they just released it this year, and no, so far I've liked it. The other
Oh,
beer I keep
that's
teasing, I
good.
still haven't been able to get out and get a can of the other beer I want to talk about. So that'll happen next week, hopefully.
Hyping it up.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna like drop so hard. I should almost get like both of you to buy the same one for next week, and have you try it like the exact same moment.
We'll all just sip at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can tell
taste
me your
test.
real time
Or virtual
impressions.
taste test.
Ooh.
There's another VR game.
Beer sharing?
Beer taste testing.
Okay. Just let it be like, you three VR guys get in the same room and you each have to like pass each other a drink to try.
Yeah, just make sure there's not a fourth guy in the room, or else some pranks will be pulled,
Oh, of the worst.
and grudges will be started.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, VR intrigues me, but I don't know if I'm wanting to sign on to it yet. It's aside from the fact that I already wear glasses. Um, I don't know. There's just something about it. Like, maybe I haven't had the right experience with it yet to have that sense of immersion that will hook me.
Have you
But
done VR yet? Have you like?
I've tried it a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even I
Um,
went to that Game of Thrones thing, which is
Mhm.
like kind of a crappy-ish VR. It was still pretty fun. That was cool, going up the wall, and I don't know, they had wind effects and stuff, which you're not going to get in your house, but
Yeah.
depends how hard you try.
yeah.
I don't know, Gavin, have you seen videos for, I think it's called, I don't say, is it Hypercube? There was a VR game.
Hypercube.
Yeah, and just like you hear people gush about it, and the reason that people
Yeah,
like
it's
it
like
is,
Tron, right?
what's that?
It's like kind of like Tron.
Yeah, and it's like literally a wall comes rushing at you, and you have to try like bend the shape
Yeah.
to. So I'm gonna check it out because I
Oh,
don't
like
think
that game show. That game
Well,
show?
they had because they had
Yeah.
that for the Kinect. They did like a version of that as well, where like you had to make your body a shape. And it was like a game show of that. Yeah, just
Yeah.
right. Like there was this one on TV where it was made of
maybe
like
it's
a
called Super Hyper.
polystyrene wall coming at you, and it would knock you into the water if you didn't get the shape right. And usually the shapes are like get really funky. It's like Tetris with consequences.
I think it's Super Hypercube. I half want to try to like share my screen. I'm worried I'll break everything.
You probably will break it, and I wouldn't.
That's
I wouldn't
okay.
do it.
Yeah, we're not gonna try it. Anyways, Super Hypercube. I hear people gush about it all the time who have done VR because it's not. It's more of an acceptance of the space. I don't. It feels like, if anything, this thing is so beyond, so within its infancy. I
Mhm.
think where we're going to get to is kind of exciting because currently it's like now you instead of being behind a screen, you're now like in the world, but it's the exact same gameplay. What Super Hypercube was showing was, okay, like forget, physical limitations, forget like real world, like situations, things like that. Like this is an entire world dreamed up for the exact situation of you being in that space and able to control like items. So as opposed to like, this is what it looks like when you're in an office. It's like, well, I'm in an office every day. I kind of get that. This is more like super magic cubes are flying around and like you're able to control color and like moods and things like that. So it could be. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm very curious to see where it goes, and if nothing else, for at least No Man's Sky, so I can disappear. But the rest of where they might take it, I think, is could be very exciting.
I hope it lives up to your expectations. It just seems like.
Yeah, no, I hate wanting something so bad.
Yeah.
Please
I really do.
For
Like, sorry, I had to pick on one other thing. Gavin, did you say you might buy Overwatch?
Yep.
Bold call.
That is.
I might pick it up.
What's beating you down? Take us through it.
It just looks really good. It looks really good. I really want to play it. Yeah, that's really it. It's just like I've always thought it looked like a great game, but I was like, I just don't know if I can get back into multiplayer stuff because big commitment, this, that. But I don't know. Looking really, really good. Although I might get it for the PC. Because
cheaper.
One, it's cheaper. Two, I think a lot of the other people that I know who are currently playing it are playing on PC. And I don't need a secondary subscription service to access multiplayer. So, because like in reality, since I don't really have PlayStation Plus, if it was to start back into multiplayer games, I would have the $80 or so for the game, and then an additional like $50-$60 for annual. So it's like that's a fair chunk to drop in on that. So, and plus it gives me something to play on the PC, which I haven't really had for a little while, with the exception of Octodad the other day. But so yeah, you heard me right. I think I might. Of course, saying that, it's probably still a month away, but I'm leaning towards picking it up. When
Steam summer sales coming up.
Yeah, but it's Blizzard.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
And plus, it looks like a decent game. I think I could get full price amount of it, especially since the PC pricing is different than console, which is always.
It's funny because I'm absolutely drawn to it like you are. Although I so badly wish I could trade Star Wars Battlefront for this game. Like I was so disappointed in that game. Like I'm so sad that I bought it. So if I can like, exchange that money and instead get this Overwatch, because especially just it looks incredible, looks fun, reasons enough to buy it certainly, but just it's almost just supporting that type of game as like a vote of confidence for something like that. Like it's not a military shooter, it's not gray, it's not dull. The same.
It's like there's no single player campaign, right? It's all multiplayer.
But I just mean like it's so colorful, it's so cheery. It's like a focus on fun. It's focus on positivity. Like they built all these systems around ensuring that it's not about poning noobs and like killing and being the best. It's about teamwork and having a great time. Certainly the victory element, absolutely. But I mean, voting for the other team, having an ability to vote for the other team's healer as the player of the game, who like because they contributed so greatly. Like it's all these incredible. There was one element that got pointed out to me that like when you call up the list, like usually you could call up a list during a multiplayer game and see where the kill numbers are. Like you don't get the entire team. You don't see your ranking against everybody else. It's just like here's how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's just this like soup to nuts, like incredible, like personal little stories, incredible, colorful, diverse characters, super fun world, like focused on positivity, and just there's something kind of magical about it that I almost want to support from a consumer point of view. It's like, yes, this is great. This is a great game. I'd love to see this would be a great game for my kid. Like this is the type of thing I'd love to see gaming go towards, as opposed to like the Call of Duty stuff.
Well, just yeah, it's
Well, that's not fair. Call of Duty is absolutely fine.
yeah,
That's a great series. I really retract that. That's not the right way to put it. But it's
but
just
it
that
gives
this
it
type of
an
game can also
alternative.
exist.
Yeah, it allows something else to also exist alongside it. Like they don't all have to be military shooters. Um, they can be military shooters can be very fun,
Hmm.
but to have something out there that's refreshingly light and playful, and even though it's people shooting at each other, it's friendly. You know, it's there's something about it, something inviting. I think that's the one thing
Charming.
about the military shooters that are out right now is that because of the competitive nature of it and the leaderboard focused mentality behind it, it can be uninviting. And with the way Overwatch has balanced stuff, and not just visual aesthetics, but just in the game's design itself, it seems far more of an inviting environment and an inclusive environment. Where the military shooters that are out now have this sort of elite status to them, and it's like you have to be the best of the best to play with the best, which is fine. But for those of us out there who aren't, for those of us out there who might have fallen off the curve, um, I think this is the first instance of it slowly starting to happen to me, and me actually becoming that parent in the tech store asking stupid questions. Um, it's me no longer having that edge with the competitive military multiplayer shooters. But something like Overwatch just looks like simple fun. Um, you know, I might play it and not like it. I don't know, but we'll see. Like it's worth a shot. It's giving enough evidence to give it a try. Okay.
Mm. Very
And
good. I
plus,
think
like, it just looks like man, the gorilla, man,
give me a
gorilla.
monkey
It's awesome. It's
or
the
a
best.
sassy British lark.
Yep, her too. Yep.
Great, everybody. I think that will wrap it up for the week. Thanks everybody for listening once again. This has been New Dad Gaming. We do this podcast weekly. If you'd like to reach out to us with any tips, questions, or show suggestions, please reach us at our website, newdadgaming.com. You can subscribe to the podcast from iTunes and other podcast services as well. So until next week, once again, thank you. My name is Trevor, and I have a 1-year-old.
My name is Gavin. I have a 10-month-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Thanks, everybody.
See you.
Good night.